Let me start off by thanking Governor Murphy for his leadership and swift action to sign this bill into law. And to Judge Salas and to Mark, it's an honor to stand beside you today for the signing of Daniel's Law. You experienced a tragedy that no parent should have to endure, and yet in the midst of your grief, you refused to be silent. You made your voice heard with a powerful call to action to better protect the men and women of our federal judiciary. And if it were not for your voice, I truly believe we would not be standing here today to witness the signing of Daniel's Law. To everyone who played a role in getting this done, our thanks to Senators Cryan and Scuteri and Poe, Assemblywoman Quijano, to Assemblywoman Lopez, to all the legislative leadership, Chief Justice Rabner. We are all in your debt in terms of making our judiciary and others more secure by virtue of the law. Appreciate always the First Lady being with us, as she always is, on these groundbreaking events, and the U.S. Marshal, who does a fantastic job in protecting the federal judiciary in our state. However, our work doesn't end here. We must extend these privacy protections nationwide so that no one lives to what Judge Salas and her husband lived through. This is about saving lives, and it's also about protecting the independence of our federal judiciary. Indeed, the idea that any judge at any level of government could be intimidated by threats to their personal safety or that of their loved ones undermines the very concept of the rule of law. Federal judges must be able to interpret the Constitution and our laws, administer justice, and render decisions without fear of retribution and violence. That's why back in September, I, along with my colleague, Senator Cory Booker, who's been an integral part of this whole process, critical to us as a member of the Senate Judiciary Committee, convinced Chairman Graham to join us in a bipartisan effort, and Congresswoman Sherrill in the House has bipartisan support introducing the Daniel Anderl Judicial Security and Privacy Act of 2020. This federal legislation is a bipartisan, bicameral, and common-sense plan to safeguard the personal information of federal judges and their families that could leave them vulnerable to potential threat. Our legislation will shield the personal identifiable information of federal judges and their immediate family members who live with them, including home addresses, Social Security numbers, school and employer information, and more. It would prohibit government agencies from publicly posting a judge's sensitive information, providing grants and funding to help states and localities defray the costs of strengthening judges' personal privacy, and stop commercial data collectors from trading, licensing, selling, or otherwise making public this information. We also empower judges to request the removal of their personal information if published online, and even to take legal action against those who violate the law. We authorize funding to strengthen security monitoring services so that judges and their families can feel safe in their homes. And finally, we authorize funding for the Administrative Office of the Courts to set up a new threat management capability in coordination with the U.S. Marshals to more proactively monitor and assess online threats, collect intelligence, investigate complaints, and address acts of aggression and violence. You know, in the past several years, we've seen an alarming increase in the number of threats made against federal judges. Between 2015 and 2019, in those short 4 years or so, threats against federal judges and judiciary personnel increased from 926 incidents to 4,449 in 2019. That's almost a five-fold increase in a span of only 4 years. We expect all Americans to have respect for the rule of law, even when they disagree with the outcome of a case or a particular ruling. Unfortunately, that's not always the case. Some individuals carry hatred in their hearts and have deluded themselves into believing that violence is the answer. This gunman in particular targeted Judge Salas not only because he disagreed with her rulings, but also because he could not accept the judgment of a wise Latina in power. Well, we cannot let sexism, racism, or any other form of hate dissuade us from our efforts to build a diverse judiciary that reflects all of America. I remain proud to have recommended Judge Salas to President Obama, who nominated her to become the first Hispanic woman in history to serve as the U.S. District Judge in New Jersey. We are living in a time of endless vitriol, rising hate, and increased personal attacks. And while we may not be able to eliminate the hatred from someone's heart, we can take action to better protect the men and women of our federal bench. That's why I'm so proud to see Governor Murphy, who will shortly be signing Daniel's Law here in New Jersey, and why we remain committed to the passage of the Anderl Judicial Security and Privacy Act in Washington. We will not rest until we have that day in which we have a signing ceremony as well. Thank you, God bless you, and God bless the United States of America.